This is the really interesting bit that I like.
Yeah.
Okay, these are kind of the bullet points. Personal direction, eyes on the future, on reaching goals. Check.
Dadvertising. Dadvertising. Digital dads doing the thing. Running business while raising kids. Dadvertising.
Here we go, episode 2, Dadvertising. Dadvertising. Talk us through what we're doing today, Alan, because you've done the research and I have not.
All right. So before we do get started, I'd like to preface I am not a disc profile expert, but we are talking about the disc profile today. Now, why we are talking about the disc profile is, there's your child.
Yep.
That's cute.
On the phone, by the way, she's not in the room.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yes.
Ava.
Ava. Oh, she looks amazing. Awesome. So the reason we're talking about this profile is it's something that I learnt about, or I'd say even before I was in business, and it's a really good, it's not a person. So I actually spoke to, one of my clients, his name's Adrian. Shout out to Adrian from Tradesformation. So Adrian is he's one of our clients, and he's also qualified in assessing DISC and things like that. Anyway, one of the things he shared is it's not a personality profile. It's a behavioral profile.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
So it's not, there is so many different elements about who you are as a person that will be different to how you behave.
Yep.
But how you behave in business may also be different to how you behave as a parent and things like that. So what the DISC profile is, it's a profile of 4 different categories. And what we've before the episode today, we've done, both you and I just went through and did like a Tony Robbins assessment, DISC profile assessment. Neither of us, we did it, and then we've handed over each other's phones. Hence why I've got Alex's phone looking at his child, and then you've got my phone there. But anyway, the long and short of it is we have the DISC profile. We've done some things here. So we've done our DISC profiles on our phones, and we've got the results that we'll look at later in this episode. But the reason that we're talking about this is because once you understand the behavioral aspects, it helps you with your team dynamics. It helps you to understand what are important values, or when someone behaves a particular way, why do they behave a particular way? So if you understand this, it allows you to make better decisions hiring, and it allows you to make better decisions even potentially on the way that you work, where you focus your energy, your time, attention, and all those other things, because you want to be focusing your time and attention in the things that you're a genius.
Sure.
Yeah. So anyway, so we've obviously done the DISC profile assessments, but before we get into that, I'll give everyone at home a little overview on what DISC is. So it's DISC, C for cat, D. or conscientious, whichever one you want.
On that, just quickly, you know how when you're talking to kind of customer service people on the phone, they always know the phonetic alphabet, and they're all like, okay, B for Bob, whatever, B for Bravo, and they always use the military
Charlie,
one.
yeah, C for Charlie, yep.
I was once having to read out, my fridge was broken, and I was reading out the serial number on the fridge, and I was like, I know some of these, B for Bravo, D for Delta, and I was like, C for Care Bear. Got a giggle out of, I just imagine her name was Mary on the phone, but that was a good one. It's awesome.
I love how you just make names up just as you go. Her name's probably not Mary, is it?
It depends on the age.
Or Deborah.
There's not been a Mary born for at least 24 years, I'd say. Probably like 44 years.
I'd assume you're wrong.
Hamish and Andy podcast tried to find the last Graham.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they found one, the youngest Graham in Australia. They found a guy who was probably in his 20s.
Yeah.
So anyway,
staying on topic. Today we're talking about DISC profile, and the D stands for dominant, I stands for influence, S stands for steady, C stands for conscientious. Now, before we get into that, can you just pass my phone? And I was just going to I was actually just going to share something. I found something really cool that sort of just explains what this is. So I'll just read this out. So people with D personalities tend to be confident and place an emphasis on accomplishing bottom line results. People with I personalities tend to be more often more open and place an emphasis on relationships and influencing or persuading others. People with S tendencies tend to be more dependable and place an emphasis on cooperation and sincerity. And then people with C personalities tend to place an emphasis on quality, accuracy, expertise, and competency. So as you can imagine, right, most accountants will probably fall into the C category because so the people who like crunching numbers and data and things like that. People with D personalities tend to be more so in leadership roles because they're, the get shit done type of roles, where it's very high level. S personalities tend to be, potentially in it's cooperation, sincerity, like a lot of psychologists and people in therapies tend to be in that where and I influence, so influencers, people, who like to, be seen and are, happy to build basically, again, an emphasis on relationships. Yeah. So Alex and I have done a personality behavior test. Now, before I actually, so I haven't looked at yours.
No, okay.
I'm actually going to, so for me, I'm going to guess that you probably are in the I category, but I also sense you're in the S category as well, so IS. Now, I'm not sure if these tests actually tell you more than one, because in the DISC profile, you don't just land in just one, like it's not just square in one.
Yeah.
You do, like, just depending on the type of test that you do, you can actually land a little bit more to one side of one of the categories as well. Now, the reason I say I and S for you is because I think you are someone who values relationships and the importance of them, but I also get a sense that you really like security and steadiness as well. Hence the S, in the sense of very family orientated. You don't actually, like, I know that you would have spent a lot of time going out in your your 20s and whatnot, but I get a sense you are very stable and very reliable, very loyal, and they're some of the reasons why I think if you're not an I, you're an S.
Got it.
And if you're not an S, I reckon you're an I.
Yeah.
So that's my observations. What do you think I might be?
I think we're pretty similar on those fronts. We're very different in the way we approach things. I think if one of us was going to fall more into a more organized bucket, it'll be you, because like the way we've done this podcast, you've rocked up. You're like, man, what are you thinking about the topics? And I'm like,
I'm not thinking about the topic.
Can we not do? I did the graphics. I did the logo. But I think that we're both very kind of empathetic. I get that a lot from you. You obviously value relationships massively. Your whole business is based on this kind of
relationships,
delivering to your clients, but also just being really close with them, which is insanely, like, everyone loves you. And it comes across, because of how you act around people. So that's the I one, isn't it? And so I think that probably you'd fall more towards that one again. The steadiness one is interesting because you are a family guy, but you're constantly flying around the country. You're always doing stuff. I think that you got a few dark horse tendencies of doing things.
Dark horse?
Not dark horse, maybe light horse, if that's a thing. The more positive side of being a dark horse, just like out of the blue, you'll, the stuff that you do with your what's your mates, the spiritual millionaires group?
Oh, yeah, the Rich Mystic Man.
The Rich Mystic Man. Yeah. Like, real kind of like creative, interesting group of dudes, who doesn't fall into that really steady family man category. So I think we're probably in the same sort of middle ground in the I and the S, but you definitely have more rationality than me.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So I think you touched. So for you, my observations without looking at your report are I for influence and S.
Yep.
I actually feel for me, it's more so I and D. So D dominant in the sense of exactly like you said. I still value my family, but I get a lot of my enjoyment out of being in new places and doing things. And yeah, and look, I think also the other thing with this DISC profile is it can change depending on the environment. So who you are in business may be different to who you are at home. And in other environments as well, where you maybe not need to show as much leadership and things like that. Like, you know, in your wider family dynamic, you may be a little bit more, you know, further back.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it all depends on the way that you are and especially your circumstances where as a business leader, like I know for me, I've had to step up constantly in order to get shit done and things like that. So, all right.
Let's dig into it. What's interesting for me is that we both know I'm not going to go and act upon this.
Yeah.
You know, knowing my DISC profile and then start like tailoring my existence. But what's really fun for me is just getting that kind of awareness of like, this is the way you are. And I'll start to notice that in my life.
Yeah.
And in my parenting style and be like, oh, I understand myself a little more now, which is interesting. Whereas I know people who, like you were saying before, they will literally tailor the way they speak to their staff and clients based on this test.
Yes.
I reckon I've got, you know, relatively good EQ. I can kind of just figure people out and know when they need certain things.
Yeah.
Without doing this, but I love learning this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So, looking through this report here, I'm not sure if it gives us letters. It definitely gives us a behavioral type. So, if I may, I'd love to read out what it says about you. Okay, so basically, DISC and Motivators report for Alan Howle. That's Alan. We haven't. I don't think we went into
the one in the room named Alan. It's for
did we go into last names or not? All right.
It's okay.
So, what it's given us is I don't know if it's given us an actual letters. So that whole kind of intro there could have very much been
a waste.
Completely just unnecessary. But what it has given us is this: your DISC style is a producer.
Ooh,
you are producing the podcast right now, so that's good. And I'll just run through this real quick. You're a pathfinder. You will find and follow your own path as you seek new projects and challenges. That sounds good. You approach projects and strategy with a sense of urgency, focus, and direction. I can see that in the way you manage this podcast.
Yeah.
You know, definitely it's urgency, focus, and direction. I was wanting to rock up and do it. You planned it, and therefore it's a better podcast. Because of how it's going.
Yeah.
Self-directed and like to solve challenge in a solitary way without input from others. I feel like that's not you because you.
No, absolutely. Like
you reckon?
Yeah, because what will tend to happen is if someone else is in my head, I will I'll just nod and go, yeah. But I need car. Like I love being in the car, and it's one of the other reasons I love driving or traveling, etc. Is because I get that neutral time to actually work shit out and like. Being in the shower or being at the beach or, you know, not around people allows me to work things out. So,
Got it.
Okay. Beautiful.
This is the really interesting bit that I like. Yeah. Okay. These are kind of the bullet points. Personal direction. Eyes on the future on reaching goals. Check. Strengths offered. Visionary ideas and encouraging risk-taking. I will check that in the way 100%. That you approach the way that we...
Do your video sales
letters?
Videos?
Yeah, exactly.
Even your video sales letters,
Exactly. You always come up with cool ideas. Strong sense of direction, decisiveness, and urgency, once again, in the way that you help me plan this whole podcast. Check. Contributions to others. Once again, you set high goals with urgency. I think urgency is definitely an interesting word because I would never think of you as an urgent person, but I think that it's right. It's correct.
Yeah, absolutely. Because too many people fuck around.
Right.
Like, at the end of the day, if you don't set a date, like we've got, even with our video content, like it's 2 weeks. So in 7 days, we have a sample, and in 2 weeks, or how quick, actually, the last time we filmed, how quickly did you get your videos? Within 7 days.
Oh, it was like 5 days. It was nuts. It was so good.
Yeah, that doesn't always happen.
Guaranteed.
It doesn't always happen, but I love it when that happens.
Yeah.
And it's because we've been working for so long that team understand your style. Like we've got, different things in the background to implement.
Getting along with others, you set a vision for others, which is definitely true. And I say that as a client and a friend and a partner in this podcast, you definitely help me with all these things. This is the interesting one I'd love to know. When stressed, may become solitary and isolated, especially when plans are jeopardized. How do you deal with stress? Do you become solitary and isolated?
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah. It's so like I sort of even mentioned before, when I've got too much head noise, the best thing that I can do is go for a walk, go to the beach, or move. Like moving helps me to work through things.
Yeah.
Being stuck in bed, the worst is when I'm stuck in bed, like when I'm sick and I can't move, whether it's an injury or whatever, that is the shittest. It is shit for me. So movement actually helps me work through things. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's what, honestly, I mentioned before this, I was sick yesterday. I was in bed a lot. Today, just getting out and doing this, I feel phenomenal.
Yeah.
Just having done that, which is so good.
100%.
And then this is one to keep in mind, Alan. Tony Robbins says, keep in mind that you may become overly controlling, especially when direction isn't made clear.
Oh, very true. Do you know, that is so true. Think about our first, so this is attempt 2 at starting our podcast.
Yeah.
And after we finished, I rang you and I said, I don't know if I want to do this podcast.
You did.
And I was like, fuck, I need to just give me some time to think about it. Yeah, that's exactly right. Give me some time to think about it. And then the following day, was it the following day or a couple of days later, I then rang you and said, I just needed structure.
Yep.
As long as we have structure, I will be fine.
Yep.
And hence I've got sitting here with all of my notes, got my structure.
Yeah.
Now I can be completely present and know exactly what we're doing.
That's why I said I thought you'd fall a little bit into that C category of kind of accountants, having stuff laid out, planned out, ticking boxes, that sort of thing.
Yep.
So, but in general, the wrap up here is that great risk taker and idea generator, but may become arrogant and threatened with not reaching goals.
Yeah, very true.
So I think that's very surprisingly spot on.
Yeah.
Considering, and the test was basically like it would give you a bunch of words and say which one is most like you, which one is least like you.
Yeah, but it actually gives you like its own separate category.
Yeah, it was really good. And then it came in, and the next one it would give you like eight ideas, and you'd have to rank them from most important to least important.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff like design.
Yeah.
Like, what's your favorite house like design?
Oh, my questions were different.
Or were they?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're interesting.
Yeah.
So it probably was profiling the questions based on how we'd answered the previous section.
Yeah.
Great.
So for those at home wanting to do a test similar to this, go to Tony Robbins. Just type in Tony Robbins disc assessment. It's free, and you can get yours.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tony Robbins.
I've never heard of him.
That is going to be your favorite button for this podcast, isn't it?
It's
that or oh no, this one. Hold on. Is it this one?
Green one.
No.
Green one.
Oh yeah, that is. One. Sorry, yeah, I should have just listened to you. Green one, green one, green one. Okay. Anyway, I'm sure everyone at home is loving those sound effects. All right, I will get on to your ones now.
Okay.
All right. Disc style is influencer.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. Influencers show poise and confidence. They enjoy working with a diverse group of people. They bring a sense of urgency to things and get started and keep things moving. The spontaneity that influencers bring allows a variety in their environment. They embrace positions of authority and appreciate when others handle some of the details and logistics. So true. All right, just
Very true.
even on that, right? It, like, I really do. You know, it's one of the reasons we're working together, because you like to, you know, what your zone of genius is, and that is like, I like to like. Even on our last film day, you brought a unicorn costume.
Yes.
Right, and you had. I'm assuming you didn't have any plans. You didn't know what you were doing with it. You just rocked up with the unicorn costume. I'm sitting there being the producer, and then I go, blah, 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 blah. And then you like go, great. And then with it, like, there was no scripts, no nothing. You just come back with, this is what we're doing, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then lo and behold, we've got the most incredible video sales letter. And this happens every time we catch up. Like, I'll just give you a little bit of direction, and then you go, great. And then you'll just do it. Like, the last video on the last film, not the last one, the one before, you did a video sales letter on like the old car salesman.
Yeah.
Oh no, the steak night. What was that? What was that a take of?
It was like the old kind of you know,
infomercials,
mattress or rug salesman.
Those
like,
TV infomercials was get one free, you know, and
Big Russ has gone mad.
that's right. What was it? Big Kev? Was that Big Kev back in the day?
There was a bunch of them. It was every local car dealership or, you know, washing machine salesman or whatever it was, and they were having a crazy clearance sale, and we I heard something like that, and then we just did that on the day.
So for those who have no idea what we're talking about, I'll put a link to a video sales that Alex created. It's epic. And so you did a version of that, and then this last one you brought a unicorn costume, and you just went nuts. You just did your thing. And obviously handling the logistics, hence why we look after your socials. That all makes complete sense as well. Their optimism may be overextended by the reality at times, and they may need some governing views of the end goal. Very true, even with this podcast.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Personal direction focuses on influencing leadership. Are you flexing your pecs?
No. I'm not intentionally.
I was looking at your phone and like I didn't. So you would, you can do it as well. Look at you. So that was just okay. I was getting distracted. For those who were listening, Alex was flexing his pecs unintentionally whilst I was. Anyway, stay on track. Personal direction focuses on influence. Stop. Focus on influencing leadership and pointing the way. Strengths offered. Often good at promoting ideas, concepts, and able to make requests of others to get things done. Boom. General characteristics: high people orientation, decisiveness, and urgency. There's that word. Did you think that word would show up in your thing?
I get with certain projects, yes. I think one thing that stresses me out is a big to-do list, but some things I wouldn't put on the list. You know, plan the podcast, I wouldn't put on the list. Yep. But if I know that there's 6 campaigns that need to be done, or I have a bunch of emails, people just ignore them. It's like ignoring an email is worse than reading it for me.
Yeah.
You know, so potentially.
Yep. Yeah, I think definitely high people orientation. Like just as much as my business is people focused, yours is as well.
Yeah.
Decisiveness in ideas and things like that. Great. Contribution to others, easily engages with others on the team, and encourages open dialogue. I can absolutely see that.
We try to, yeah.
Getting along with others, focuses on communication and clarity. When stressed, may become indecisive or vacillate on positions.
What does that even mean?
Vacillate?
Vacillate?
What does that? Vacillate. Vacillate?
Vacillate?
Vacillate? Positions?
I think I'd imagine it's a bit like oscillate, right?
Yeah.
If it's indecisive, I wouldn't say that's necessarily true. I think when stressed, I do more like your one. I go inside myself. Ali will always know if I'm just giving one word answers. If I go monosyllabic, it means I'm stressed.
Yeah. May rely too much on personal persuasion, which can be perceived as overselling. Excellent presenter, engages audience, but may need some help handling detailed work.
That's it.
Yeah.
That
There you go.
in a nutshell, 100%.
Awesome. All right. Well,
Very
that's
surprisingly accurate, isn't
yeah,
it?
it is.
Based
And
off a bunch of multiple choice questions.
You know what? You know what's cool about this profile, like this profile test thing? I was not expecting even like I was expecting like so most tests that I've done in the past, it'll give you like you're an I or an S or a D or an I or whatever it is. But this actually comes up with its sort of own style within these styles.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
there's a lot more to it. Really impressive. There is a paywall at the bottom of it to get more detailed results,
Yeah,
but it's pretty good.
It's got your motivators. It's got a general overview of the different styles and goes into more details. So yeah, so feel free to check that out. But I think the reason that
Thank goodness, Tony Robbins will be so happy that we're promoting him on episode 2 of our podcast. What would he do without Dadvertising?
But as you can sort of hear, like imagine if you got your team to go and complete a disc profile thing, this would help you to understand not only, like you said, what are the like when push comes to shove, when they're stressed, how do they operate?
Yeah.
You know, for me, like I just need more time and space.
Yeah.
And so my wife definitely, like you said, my wife definitely knows that, and she will sort of pull me up and go, okay, just go, leave,
Yes.
go for a walk. Like actually, even on like sometimes I'll wake up on a Saturday morning and just feel flat.
Yeah.
And she'll go, do you need to go for a walk? What do you need to do? What do you need to do? You need to go for a drive?
Yeah.
She'll ask me, what do you need to do to help yourself?
Amazing.
Yeah.
How good.
And so, yeah, but understanding those disc profiles, even, and I think you, like, even when you, for me, I know I've interviewed, so we've got a team of, including Jess, myself, so we've got a team of 8 full-time staff.
Mm-hmm.
And within our team, you can tell a lot by the way that someone, even when you put out a job application, so I use LinkedIn to advertise for my jobs and things like that. And when I get responses, so typically, this is for another episode, another time, but you know, I would typically ask people to record a video, especially if they're doing remote, you know, we're doing remote work or whatever, or, you know, it just helps to get a feel of someone.
Yeah.
But there is so much that you will learn about someone, even by the way that they either respond or create the video.
Totally.
You know, like someone who's super detail orientated will, like, you can tell that they've either made heaps of cuts to their video, or they've asked like 3 or 4 questions before recording the video.
Yeah.
Someone who's just like results orientated and focused will just stick to, like, you know, they'll record, you know, a straightforward video, like, you know, they'll whip out their phone, sort of do it on the fly. They don't care that, like, they've got a booger hanging out or whatever. They just get shit done. They don't care where they are, you know, and it's super interesting just to see how different people respond to different things. And it tells you intuitively, you know, just from observations, understanding this. It's not the be all and end all. It's not like, you know, it's not, but it's a great guide on how to understand other people and sort of assess how to respond or how to get the most out of them and all the situation that you're trying to accomplish and achieve, even for clients for that matter as well. Like, I know, you know, with some of the clients that we work with, especially when we're on film days, some people need to have every single word for word mapped out on a script. Whereas I was filming in Newcastle on Friday, and the lady was just like, can you give me a topic? And I'll just rant about it.
Totally.
And, you know, and then everyone else is sort of somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Some people need it all scripted word for word. Some people just like free flowing sort of stuff. So, yeah.
What's the best video you've had from a job applicant.
Tell me about your story.
We were advertising for a media buyer, which is someone to handle the Facebook ads, basically on a daily basis, going in, checking that everyone's campaigns are working, and then making them work better with the copywriting, the graphics, that sort of thing. And so we sent that. And that's a big job because you got to know how to do a lot of stuff. It's somewhat data analytics, but very creative and results driven. And we sent out. We do a lot of our advertising in these big groups of freelancers, mostly remote, a lot of Filipino, really talented people. And I was on a holiday with Ali, and we got 10 resumes come back. And one of them was a video link, and it was a YouTube video. And it's like, hi, I'm Jen, and and my biggest talent is singing. And then it cut to a 2.5 second clip of her singing My Heart Will Go On in the shower. And she's like, but I'm also pretty good at dancing. And then she's like, and then she goes into this big resume of stuff she's done. But even when she was like, I love learning, it was her reading a book.
Oh, she's actually got B-roll of her learning.
It was so funny, man. It was
how
hilarious. Cool. I didn't read the rest of the resume. I didn't look at anyone else's because I was like, this is the girl, and she's amazing. And it was just, imagine putting yourself in the shower in a job application. And it was so funny, man. So we hired her on the spot, and she's been with us for months now. So and that's the kind of person we need. But she did have enough experience that all the numbers were there, but she just got my attention. I was like, if she's coming in to be a marketer, then she's marketed so well in this video.
100%. 100%. I don't have any fun stories like that, but I do definitely have some people especially when I was hiring for a client success manager, I've had some really funny things sort of come through. But
that's a very people-oriented role, right? That's just
absolutely.
Don Draper, just charming people, just managing relationships. It's a tricky. That's kind of it's still kind of my job at the moment. I'd say.
So anyway, team, that is the DISC profile. Hope you've learned something. And after today's conversation, I actually think it's also got me thinking that not only am I going to get my team to go and do this profile, but I'm also potentially even the next time we hire, I reckon I'll especially when I've sort of gotten to the main, shortlisted it to 3 to 4 candidates, I'll definitely get them to go and do this. That sounds like a great idea.
Very interesting stuff. And we do not have time to get into it today, but it's I think that tonight when I'm sort of putting my kids to bed and we're getting frustrated because one of them's, not wanting to wear a certain T-shirt to bed or whatever, or we're organizing stuff for Christmas next week, it's going to be very interesting. I'll notice these traits come out, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think this has been a very worthwhile thing to do and a very fun episode.
I feel like I've learned something today.
Yeah. Even though we kind of knew it.
Yeah.
But now we've been told it.
Even the producer thing, I've never done a DISC profile thing like that. That's sort of identified the word producer, but that's exactly what I am.
It's basically your job. It's almost literally your job. Yeah. You're a producer of videos.
Yeah.
An influencer.
You're the influencer.
I'm a marketer and a podcaster.
Yeah. Because you do videos way better than I do. But obviously, you just need a team around you to make sure shit gets done.
I would never finish them.
Yeah.
I would have a bunch of videos. Your videos are funny though, man. The ones where you're talking to yourself.
On the banana phone, yeah.
They're funny, man. They're funny stuff. Go and check out Alan's funny videos, everyone. He's a funny guy.
All right, team. So that's it for today. Next week we are talking about what we would do if we were starting a business from scratch.
100%.
So if you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure you like, subscribe, even give us a little rating, as long as it's a 5-star one.
Yeah, if it's anything less, we want to be very clear. No negative, even constructive criticism. We don't want it.
I don't mind. You can send that through a message though.
Do not make it public. Don't let anyone know if this is anything less than perfect for you. We will disable our Google reviews. if anything less than a 5-star comes through.
No, and guys, if you're listening to today's podcast and you'd like us to explore a topic or an idea, or you've got something, we'd love to hear it. So either reach out via our socials, reach out to one of us directly. And that's it for today. We hope you've enjoyed the episode. Check out next week, and we'll see you then.
Peace out.
Ciao.